preparing to live stream this meeting.
Yeah. Meeting is now streaming live. Well done.
Setting up your meeting for custom streaming service.
Okay. Excellent. We got there, Stephen.
Oh, there we are. Watch now, Mosaic Liberal. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I know that Maria logs online.
Right.
And there are others as well.
Okay.
Because I spoke to Maria yesterday, or 2 days ago. I saw her in synagogue when I was there meeting Nathan.
Right.
And he said, "Oh yes, I watch on streaming every week." I said, "Well, why is that?" She said, "Because I don't have a camera."
Oh, right.
She's got an old computer or laptop with no.
Yeah, you can still go on Zoom without the camera, can't you?
Yeah, but I figured it's if it ain't broke, you start going down that road of saying, well, actually, we can get you a webcam and someone. It's probably going to be a little bit beyond her, and if she's coping already,
yeah.
And absolutely. Of course, Stephen, you've got the ultimate for a woman is you can have a bad hair day.
That's true.
Yeah, you can sit in your bra and knickers and watch the service, and no one's going to mind. Yeah. Anyway, how's Danielle's shoulder now?
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. She's slowly recovering. I mean, she's running, but she's just about driving. It's a little bit dodgy, but she's it's a slow process. It's another 2 or 3 months before she has the whatever it was that was put inside her shoulder to support it. Yeah, that's it. The plate. She has to have that removed.
You have it out, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, wish her well. And how's Mum and Dad?
They're okay. Yeah, I go and see them most days. Mum's still, a bit frustrated that she can't move as much as she like, but she pootles around on her Zimmer in the house. Her hearing is she's got a number of problems. She's got a walking, a hearing, and she also gets a very bad skin irritation, which she can't get rid of either. So they're okay. They're okay. Yeah. Dad's been out plays golf once a week, so he's all right.
Yeah.
So they're all right, and hopefully I'll see if I can get them onto Zoom for the High Holy Days. Although it becomes a bit traumatic when for old people don't like all this change and technology sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's not only because of your age. The trouble is that if you don't do something regularly, it's a nightmare and even for me, logging in this morning as hosting.
I know.
I found it a real problem because I got into logic traps and the whole thing. Because I'm quite used to just clicking on the link in the email on Thursday email.
I think you must have beaten me to it.
Bear with me a second.
Yep. Okay.
Stefan, that's okay. That's okay. We've sorted it out. Yeah, because we're both showing Mosaic Liberal, and Stephen is the actual one with the yeah. He's done it. It's all taken care of. Thanks. Shabbat shalom. Bye. Right. Okay. Yes, I was having conniptions before.
Right.
Yeah, but all sorted now between us.
Yeah, I was just I set up the Torah portion, but it kind of disappeared, so I'm going to try and set it up again before we get to that point in the service.
Yeah,
because that I'll try and share that on my screen if I can. Not vital.
It's one of these things. I suppose you just need to practice with it.
It is. It's like it's a habitual thing. If you keep doing it, then
yeah, this is what I was saying before. Once you get used to doing something regularly, it's like water off a dog's back.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I think it's what they call muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the brain works the same way. It gets into.
You can get into habits. Like when you turn your computer on, you just do it instinctively, don't you? But if you have to go into a specific new task, then your brain has to engage a bit more strongly.
Yeah,
it doesn't always work.
Yeah, it's like you get up in the morning, you have a routine in the bathroom. If one thing's out of sequence,
that's right.
It throws everything out.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gwendolyn's hosting again today.
Right. Yeah.
Were you there last night?
I didn't stay. Danielle was on. I don't think there were many actually.
Yeah.
To Danielle.
Yeah. I'd forgotten that when I agreed to it on Thursday, that we'd bought tickets for the Royal Opera.
How was that? Did you watch? You get to watch it? I hope so.
Yes, because the thing is, what you have to cast it from your
Right.
phone or iPad or laptop, and I can't cast it from the laptop or my
Right.
phone. So I can only do it from the laptop at the moment
Right.
until I've found another way of getting maybe Vimeo onto the TV. So I have to I have to get it up on my laptop and then plug the HDMI lead into the
Oh,
TV.
God. Oh, what
Of
pain.
course, that started at 7:15, 7:30.
Yeah. I think yes. I think it all went okay. The service went okay. There were no problems.
Good. Okay, so you saw the pictures of our furniture in South
Yeah.
London.
I'd say mixed
Does it
feelings
look?
to me because I think it's, you see something there that you've seen in a particular place or synagogue for, I don't know how long, 50 years, 40, 50 years, and then suddenly it's somewhere else. It's
Yeah,
nice. It's got a nice home, but of course it's
yeah, and
gone.
it looks wonderful
Oh
there.
yes, no, it looks great.
But the funny thing is, Stephen, I thought I never thought about actually saying goodbye to them. I was happy to
Yeah.
download a problem,
Yeah, no,
and
I understand that.
and I was thrilled that Nathan
Yeah,
took them
that's great.
and going to somewhere we can go and visit. But it actually, as we closed the doors on the van and the stuff just fitted in the van, literally to the inch. I mean, the whole thing was Bichette, Stephen. I got quite emotional. I
Yeah,
didn't think that I would,
yeah,
but I got quite emotional.
yeah. Well, that's it. You can imagine also for the reform lot, if they have to move without going back into the, because we did a big, when we moved from Preston Road, we did a massive thing, didn't we? Whereas
Absolutely,
they
yeah,
might feel a bit empty if they can't do something.
yeah.
For us, it's a
Well,
bit less
I think
significant,
they're
but
planning something. I mean,
yeah,
look, worst case, they could have a week of saying goodbye where they had invited, or maybe 2 weeks, where you had so many people come at a time, you have to
yeah,
book your place,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
do something. Yeah,
I mean, we did that big dinner as well, didn't we? Remember?
that's right. And we had Rosita there.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, because someone had the idea they were going to get, was it Barry Cryer or someone?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're all.
Someone like that.
That's right.
And of course, we ended up with Rosita, who was fantastic.
She was
It was
perfect.
absolutely the right person for, what do you want? Someone from outside the synagogue or the movement,
Yeah.
or you
But
want
we also got
someone?
it. Ron captured it on that CD. Do you remember the DVD or
That's
whatever?
right. Yeah, yeah,
So you can look at it again if you want to.
yeah.
So I think that'd be quite difficult for the reform lot because they're not going to be able to do anything like that. I would have thought unless things improve substantially in the next few months. Unlikely they'll have to. Whatever they do, it won't be on that kind of scale. I suspect it'll be much more
Yeah,
low key,
yeah.
and piecemeal to some extent.
Well, where they might be okay is, it just occurred to me, is because they can't knock down the Vesper Road until they've got the pilings up, the first floor basically in place.
What, in the new one?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. I think it's the council to ensure that they don't just knock down Vesper Road
Right, and then not
and
build something.
never start on
Oh,
Stanmore
right,
Hill.
okay. Oh, that's
It's to
interesting.
protect the position of keeping the I've forgotten which category it is. I think it's category 4 for whatever it is for places of worship, education
Right.
and worship. So because they don't want to lose that share of space in the borough. So I think it's about that, and knowing what property developers are like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there may well be a 6-month window,
They might have time.
even though we've moved out, and there may be vacant possession, but they might not actually be able to start any work. So it's
Yeah.
possible
Might let them in or something.
that two things can happen. Firstly, is that they will Vesper Road, the Mosaic Reform might do a deal with the developer to rent back the space for another 3-6 months. In which case, perhaps by then, you're getting towards September, and there may be a vaccine in place, in which case we're good to go.
Yeah.
We can all get back in the building.
Yep.
That's a possibility. Or the possibility is that we don't do a deal on renting, but there's still a 6-month window before they can start doing any work there, in which case we all get to go and say goodbye and hold some kind of mini event by agreement with the developers.
Yeah, I say for us, it's not such a big deal, because I think our big deal was 2011. It's not now, really. I think it's slightly different this time around.
I agree, it's quite different. But you know something? I'm starting to suspect that in a lesser way, we'll also need to say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, you've got things like the Ark and so on, which because a lot of what we did last time was we designed effectively to reflect the previous synagogue in terms of the look, if you like, keeping the desks and the benches and the Ark look. Whereas this time, I think it'll be a bigger break, because I don't think anything will be the same, really. You know,
but you know, the funny thing is that, I mean, I've been to a couple of other synagogues. The one that sticks out in my mind is the Sternberg Center, the Masorti main building,
right.
And it's very contemporary and not too dissimilar from what we did in Preston Road and what we did in recreated in.
Right.
So it may well be that that's the kind of look that we'll end up with anyway, and it won't be too dissimilar. Because let's face it, that old heavy oak, either dark oak or even the honey oak that we had with the reading desks, that kind of look has gone.
Yeah,
and it's much more now very light.
I think I may be wrong, but I think I heard that Max Salter built that himself.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm sure I heard it from somebody. Can't remember who.
But there again, they both match each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the second one may have been made in the light of the first one, in the image of the first one, or something like that.
It may well be that Max designed it.
Yeah, maybe.
Like he apparently he designed the Holocaust Memorial, and Janie Altman made it.
Right. That's right.
So.
Oh well, done now.
Yeah. Well, at least we can go and visit, and that'll be a wonderful thing once we do get able to go, and to organise a trip over. Maybe do a pulpit share or swap rabbis or swap communities for the day. Who knows?
We've got the connection with Nathan, haven't we? So
yes, yeah.
Good. Well, we'll see who turns up today.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's tardy this morning.
Oh, so about 15 minutes to go, aren't there?
Yeah.
Here comes Hannah.
We have Hannah. Hannah, well done. First time with a video as well.
Oh no, she's frozen.
Oh, she's not. Yeah, she's not connected yet.
Might have been a bit too optimistic, Adrian. Oh, there we go. Oh.
There we go. Hannah, good morning. Shabbat Shalom.
Morning, Gwendolyn. Morning, Gwendolyn.
Yes.
You're muted. That's it.
Shabbat Shalom, Gwendolyn.
Shabbat Shalom.
Morning. Oh, it's Hannah. Oh, Hannah's nearly connected. She's moving. Promising.
Okay, so do we know who's doing what to whom this morning, Gwendolyn?
What do you mean who's doing what to whom?
Or is it, as the old song from the 80s goes, who's zooming whom?
Well, I'm more co-host because I logged in. I realised that Kevin had sent me the login.
Yeah, no problem. I'm
So
co-hosting. I'm co-hosting as
Hannah.
well, and Stephen is the official host here. He's got the ultimate controls.
Ooh.
Great.
The power. The money men always have the power.
I just thought after last night, I'd better see if I could do a better job of helping out, but it's not needed today.
Well,
hopefully not.
All hands to the pump. So.
Hello, everybody.
Morning.
Shabbat Shalom, Hannah.
Hello, Gwendolyn. You'll be glad to know your Haftorah reader is here.
Is that you?
Yes, it's me.
Okay, so that's part number one of who's doing whom to whom.
Hannah, is it Isaiah 61 to 22?
It is.
Right.
Yes, Isaiah 60.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isaiah 60.
It's quite a long read. It's the whole chapter. Kevin invited me to do it on email during the week. So why were you asked to do it this time again, Stephen?
No. I just wanted, because I've got the
screen share
copy of it ready to share.
Yeah.
Hannah. Yeah.
Hannah, I have a request. You mentioned that you've got the Hanukkah that Janie made for the community in your possession.
Yes.
Would you care to show it to us, please?
Right. I'll go downstairs and fetch it and bring it up. Hold on.
Okay. Yes, because we decided, Stephen, just for your information, that the metal Hanukkah that's on top of the bookcases in the sanctuary and the old Ten Commandments, not the new ones, we're going to donate. Hopefully they're going to go to Alex in one of the communities in Ukraine. But I was reliably informed by Hannah that Janie Altman made one for the synagogue and it's in her keeping. So nice to see what we're going to get.
Yes.
So, Adrian, do I have anyone else already prepared to do something this morning, or is it all up for grabs?
All up for grabs. Haftarah is the only one that's generally given out.
Okay. Should we wait for a few more people to arrive?
Yes, please do. I mean, we don't normally start till about 5 past because a lot of people are tardy logging on. And I would say, Gwendolyn, you're taking the service. You're very experienced, and you will wing it. You will know what to do. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting, Hannah.
Morning, Margie.
Is it very pink?
No, it's brown.
Brown. So it's
brown,
is it
streaks?
Oh, Shabbat Shalom.
Is it olive wood?
Shabbat Shalom.
Ceramics. It's made out of clay. She was a potter and sculptor.
Yes. Okay. Clay.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting. Can't say it's my kind of taste.
It's lovely. It's like a peacock's tail.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Good morning, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
And
Shabbat
unlike other Chanukiahs that we've had, it's not difficult to find candles to fit. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is it.
Okay. I think it would be lovely, whatever we do with it, obviously it's bequeathed to the community. It would be lovely to have our first year there, lighting it, and to actually talk about Janie and her and the late husband.
She was a very devoted member of the synagogue. I mean, she loved coming to services. She added a lot of personality to everything. She was involved with creating the Holocaust Memorial plaque. I think it was Max Byrne who sort of devised it, and she actually made it. So she and of course our Ner Tamid.
Ner Tamid, yeah.
So, really vital things for the synagogue that our very own sculptress created.
Yeah, and she was also a very good person. She adopted, is it Sophia Vinoda? A granddaughter.
She
That's
didn't
right. So,
adopt her. She didn't
adopt
adopt
her,
her.
no?
She was her granddaughter.
She was her granddaughter.
Granddaughter. Okay, I'm getting confused in my dotage. Now I'm 65. I'm getting confused. See what
Oh,
comes with the age?
Oh, you've got a long way to go, Adrian. Don't
You
worry.
took the words
Please
out
God.
of my mouth,
Please
Janet.
God.
Okay, so I'll hang on to this until you tell me when you want us.
Well, I
when
think
you
it's
want
going
us
to.
do
I think it's going to be. I can't. I mean, maybe for I don't know what the arrangements are for Hanukkah this year, but maybe
it's
you
gonna
could
be-
light it while we're doing a Zoom service or something.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if everybody lights one in their home, I can certainly light this one on behalf of the community, for example.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know,
Anyway, I'm going to wish George and Vulcan, Janet. Sorry, George and Mary Vulcan. See, it's Alzheimer's kicking in again,
take a
and
deep breath.
also Shabbat Shalom to Anne and Margie.
Shalom, shalom.
Lovely to see you both.
Adrian, I believe it's your birthday, so happy birthday from us.
Thank you. It was on Tuesday, but I'll let you off.
Okay.
Happy
Was it?
My
birthday.
family, we celebrate
you.
birthdays
Next year.
anything from a fortnight before to a fortnight after, which sort of spreads it out and makes it really worthwhile. So
Absolutely.
your wishes are fine now.
Shabbat Shalom, Maureen. Yeah, you're muted, so we can't hear you. So.
Morning, everybody. Shabbat
Morning.
Shalom.
Good morning. Morning, Alan.
Good morning, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I need to go to the loo very quickly.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom,
Hi,
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. So lovely to see everybody.
Stephen is looking very serious.
I'm in command.
Oh,
I've got a
right.
clue what to do. I've got to concentrate today.
Is that why you haven't got your normal background?
Yeah, I can't. I don't think I can do it when you're. I've tried to do it. I can't do it when you're in control. I don't think. Tried to
Oh,
set a
okay.
different background. It wouldn't let me. So I've got to come
Never
up with my quirky study.
So I wonder if there's anybody who was hoping to do something in the service today. We already have a Haftarah reader, but we don't, well, we have a Torah reader, that's me, but we don't have anybody to read the translation of the Torah and to say the blessings. And we're going to have a shortened version of the themed reading, so we need somebody to volunteer to do that as well. So I don't know if anybody, either because they have a yacht site or just because they feel like they'd like to do something, would like to put themselves forward, or shall I just pick?
I'm happy to do something, Gwendolyn.
Okay.
The Torah blessings and the translation.
Okay. Just remind me you're not called Janet.
No, I'm correct. I'm Alan.
Okay, so I will have Alan for the Torah translation and the blessings.
May I do the prayer for Israel?
Which
The
is
prayer-
the reading. Sorry.
Yes, I heard someone say, was that Janet saying the prayer for Israel?
Yes, please, if you don't mind, because they're
Okay.
having a terrible time at the moment. And it's so hot there, it's 40 degrees there.
Yeah.
What's the Torah reading, Gwendolyn?
It's Deuteronomy 26,
Yeah.
verse 1 to 11.
Deuteronomy
So
26, 1 to 11. Thank you.
1 to 11, that's right. I still don't have anyone for the themed reading. And there's also, of course, the other community blessings, the one for the government and the one for the community.
I'll do the themed reading. I don't mind. What page is it?
Brilliant. So that's Mosaic Liberal. Sorry,
Mosaic
Lindsay.
Liberal, yes.
Lindsay. So we're doing the one on joy, and we're just doing part of it, starting on page 351. So 351 to 352.
I want the whole page is 351.
That's right, two pages.
Okay, I'll do that.
Gwendolyn, can I just ask you?
Have you got one with,
Hannah?
Yeah, for the Haftorah, will it be printed on the screen, or shall I read it from my book?
Read it from your book, I think. It's easier than reading it from the screen. But Stephen, are you going to put it up, or do you want me to?
Yes. I will try.
Okay. I have got a version here I can put up.
Yeah, I've got
if
it
people
ready.
don't have a chumash. Yeah. Oh, you've got it ready. Okay.
Got it ready,
So
but
Stephen will put it up.
Hopefully it'll work.
Well,
but it's probably easier for Hannah to read it from her book.
I'll read it from my JPSA Tanakh. It's a nice translation. Okay, thanks.
Great.
That's fine.
Great. Yes, because it's not easy always to read on screen, but it's better than nothing.
It's a long read, I warn you, because it's the whole chapter. 22 solid verses of Isaiah.
Good.
Well, I like them.
Okay. Do I have anybody else who'd like to say a community blessing?
Yes, I'll say a community blessing.
Now, who was that? Was that Margie?
Which morning service are we doing?
We're going to start with service 1, but we will do a little bit of different services. So page 105, and so that's the community, the blessing for the community. And so I think I have one more, which is for the Queen. Who'd like to say the prayer for the Queen and the government?
Shall I do the Queen? I'll do the Queen.
Oh, okay. So we still need somebody to say the prayer for the community. Maureen, are you volunteering? Okay.
Who are these people?
Yes.
So
Morning,
that's...
Hepzibah. Morning, Teresa. And morning, Austin.
Good morning. Morning, Hepzibah.
Hello, everybody.
Lovely to see you. Hi, Hepzibah. Hello.
Good to see you too.
Mr. or Mrs. Austin, is that Phil joining us from Mazorti? Phil, if you
I doubt it, because I think he normally uses it normally comes up with Michelle Flatto's name, with his wife.
Oh, right, okay. So who is?
Don't know.
Austin, who are you? Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Austin. Shabbat shalom.
That's my dad.
Oh, your dad?
Who said that?
Gwendolyn.
Oh,
Gwendolyn's father.
Who's Teresa Edusai? Hello, Teresa. Shabbat shalom. Anyone know who she is?
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm new to the platform. My name is Teresa.
How do you make it see everybody?
Welcome, Teresa.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Kristen Plus.
We are 105 morning service.
Morning.
500
See you now.
usually
Oh, there's a lot more people on than you think.
the service.
There's Hepzibah.
Who's this looking in?
Maureen.
Morning, Shirley.
Hi. Hi, Shirley. Shabbat shalom.
That man is.
Shabbat shalom, everybody, again.
You're unmuted now.
No, yeah. Well, do you want to mute us again?
Probably safer.
Yeah, well, what's that exit? Once you...
So I think we're nearly ready to start.
Yeah.
Shall we make a start, Stephen, or shall we wait a few more minutes to see if anyone else is joining?
I think we can start. So it's going to sort of mute. I think we just need to mute everybody now. So I'll do that part from you, Gwendolyn.
Okay.
Slowly. Make sure I haven't missed anybody. Right. I think that's everybody muted apart from me.
Brilliant. Okay. Good morning, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to start with Ma Tovu, which you'll find on page 105 of the Liberal Prayer Book. Just to say, if you don't have the prayer book, it is available online through the Liberal Judaism website. But I think it is a bit technically challenging, so only try and look at it online if you're very technically comfortable. Otherwise, just listen to us and follow with us in your hearts. So we're going to start on page 105 with Ma Tovu. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Eternal God, school us in your teachings and make us loyal to your commandments. May we never consent to evil or surrender to temptation or self-contempt. Help us to rise above selfishness and make us responsive to the voice of conscience. Direct our every impulse to your service. Today and every day may we merit kindness and compassion in your sight and in the sight of all who behold us, and let us know your love. We praise you, O God, for the love you daily show us. Baruch atah Adonai, gomel chasadim tovim. Shachar vakeshcha tzuri umiskabi, ארוך לפניך שחרי וגם ערבי, לפני גדולתך אעמוד ואבהל, כי אינך תראה כל מחשבות ליבי. מה זה אשר יוכל הלב והלשון לעשות, ומה כוח רוחי בתוך קרבי. הנה לך תיטב זמרת אנוש, על כן עודך באות תהיה נשמת אלוהי. And we turn now to page 120 to sing Psalm 92, a psalm for the Sabbath day. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. And now at the top of page 121, we're going to sing I think my favorite text for this morning, because of the second verse, Od Yenuvun Beseva, they shall still bear fruit in old age. Tzadik katamari frach ke'erez balvanon hizgeh shetulim beveit Adonai b'hatzorot Eloheinu yafrichu Od Yenuvun Beseva Teshenim V'Ra'ananim Yiyu Le'agid Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri V'lo So I'm not going, it says in the prayer book that we should stand at this point. I'm not going to stand up, but please feel free to stand if that's your custom. Well, it's my custom as well, but you probably don't want to see my stomach on the camera. So we're now at Yishtabach on page 121. Yishtabach Shimcha La'ahad Malkeinu Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol VaHaKadosh B'Shamayim u'Ba'aretz Ki Lecha Na'eh Adonai Eloheinu V'Elohei Avotenu Shiru Shvacha Halel V'Zimra Brachot V'Hodaot Me'ata V'ad Olam Baruch Ata Adonai HaBocher B'Shirei Zimra. We praise you, O God. May you accept our songs of praise. And we turn now to page 135 for our call to prayer. Baruch hu et Adonai ha'mavorach. Baruch Adonai ha'mavorach L'olam va'ed. We praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due forever. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, yotzeh or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, ha'me'ir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, uvetuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al ma'orei or she'asita, yifa'arucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMa'orot. We praise you, O God, creator of light. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life, so be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching, make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. והאר עינינו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך. והאר עינינו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, והאר עינינו בתורתך, ותהבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called your people Israel to serve you. Baruch ata Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God, the Eternal God is one. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. And we're now halfway down page 138, 138. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Lai la 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 lai la la lai 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 la 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 lai lai la la lai 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 la 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 lai la la lai 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 la 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 lai lai la la lai lai lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norat tehilot osef ele. Shira chadasha shibachu geulim, l'shimcha svat hayam, al svat hayam. Yachad kulam hoduim lichu, v'amaru Adonai Yimaloch Leolam Va'ed, Adonai Yimaloch Leolam Va'ed. Tzu Yisrael, Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Go'aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael, Gal Yisrael, Yisrael. So we now come to the central prayer of the service, the Amidah, which starts on page 140 of the prayer book. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Lai 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 lai. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid hilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Koneh Hakol, V'Socher Hasdei Avot ve'Imaot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei v'Nehem, Lema'an Shemo ba'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh metim, atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hageshem, Mazriach hashemesh u'morid hatal. Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayeh metim b'rachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umachayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lahachayot metim Baruch atah Adonai machayeh hametim. We praise you, O God, source of eternal life. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam kashem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom kakatuv al yad neviecha. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kavodo, Kavodo male olam. Baruch Kavod Adonai mimkomo, Mimkomacha malkeinu tofia, V'timloch aleinu, Ki mechakim anachnu lach. Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohayich Zion, Ledor vador, Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid godlecha, Ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish. V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, Leolam va'ed. From generation to generation we will make known your greatness. To the end of time we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We're now on page 143. Yismachu b'malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismachu b'malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat. Kulam yisba'u v'yitagu mituvach Shabbat. Yismachu b'malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismachu b'malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat yamim Oto karata Shabbat. Yismachu b'malachutacha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malachutacha Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat Zecher למעשה בראשית שבת זכר למעשה בראשית שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Lai 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 Ratzei Adonai Eloheinu Ba'amcha Yisrael U'tefilatam ba'ahavat takabel U'tehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Amecha Baruch atah Adonai שאותך לבדך בעיר נעבוד. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו, מגן ישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך. ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת, ערב ובוקר וצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. Grant peace, welfare, and blessing, grace, love, and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence, for by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom. We now have some time for private prayer, and we'll meet up again on page 146. Adonai tzuri v'goali. May the Most High Source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world. Wase shalom bimromav, hu ya'ase shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam. Now we're going to ask Lindsay to take us through part of the themed reading, which this morning is joy, and we'll join Lindsay on page 351, 351.
Our Torah as a whole is divided between reverence, love, and joy. Through each of them you may approach your God. Your contrition on a fast day does no more to bring you near to God than your joy on the Sabbath or holy days, if that joy is the outcome of sincere devotion. Our sages taught one should not stand up to pray in a mood of sadness, idleness, jocularity, small talk, levity, or idle chatter, but in a mood of joy in the doing of God's will. There is no sadness in the presence of the Holy One, who is ever to be praised. The Holy Spirit rests only upon a joyful heart. You show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand, pleasure evermore. Now I have no fear. My mind is at peace. See the rain that falls straight and gentle on flowers, on golden oaks, on graying willows, on wet leaves. If I could give you riches, it were these. Oh, now the garden is all music under rain, waiting a shout, a live fanfare when the sun comes out. My peace combines with joy and is all bliss. Today, how bright earth shines in the garment of God. Eternal God, we give thanks for all the joys that come to us each and every day, and we pray for the coming of a time when a still greater joy, unalloyed by sadness, will fill the hearts of all your children. Then those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom like a rose. The eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. The lame shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the speechless sing for joy. For you shall go out in joy and be led back in peace. The mountains and hills shall burst into song before you. Worship the Eternal One with gladness. Come into the divine presence with singing.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. That's lovely. So let's turn now to our Torah service, which starts on page 481, 481. Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein k'ma'asecha. Malchutecha, malchut kol olamim, u'memsheltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimeloch leolam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, The Eternal One is our God. The Eternal God is one. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadolul Adonai iti, unoromama Shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagavura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod. Ki hol b'hashamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'hamitnaseh lechol lerosh. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to our Torah reading. And just before Alan steps forward, or whatever you do when you're on Zoom, to say the blessings for us, I'll just introduce it. So it's Deuteronomy 26, chapter 26, verses 1 to 11. And this is the very first part of the portion, which is Ki Tavo, and I've chosen to read about the obligation to bring an offering of first fruits to the temple and the liturgy associated with this. As we read through it, look out for the text that starts in verse 5, which we also find in our Passover Haggadah. Well, which is in the Passover Haggadah, but presumably it was in Deuteronomy first. Arami Oved Avi. This is translated in the JPS translation as, my father was a fugitive Aramean, but is sometimes translated as, an Aramean tried to destroy my father. So an example of the ambiguity of biblical Hebrew. The reading ends with a simcha, V'samachta b'chol hatov, and you will rejoice for all the good things, which is why our themed reading today, which Lindsay read for us, was also about joy. So, Alan, I can't see you, but I know you're there.
Yeah, yes, I'm here.
Would you like to mention your Hebrew name, please?
Abraham ben Reuben.
Abraham ben Reuben. Okay. I think I'm ready when you are, if you'd like to say the blessings. And shall we have the Hebrew first and then the translation, if you would read the translation for us afterwards?
Yes, okay. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim, v'nasan lanu et torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'haya ki tavo el haaretz, asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha nachala, v'irishta v'yashavta ba, v'lakachta mereshit kol peri ha'adama, asher tavi me'artzecha, asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach, v'samta v'tene, v'halachta et hamakom, asher yivcha Adonai Elohecha l'shaken shemo sham. ובאת אל הכהן אשר יהיה בימים ההם, ואמרת אליו, הגדתי היום לאדוני אלוהיך, כי באתי אל הארץ אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותינו לתת לנו. ולקח הכהן התנה מידיך, והניחו לפני מזבח אדוני אלוהיך. וענית ואמרת לפני אדוני אלוהיך, ארמי עובד אבי, וירד מצרימה, ויגר שם במתי מעט. ויהי שם לגוי גדול עצום ורב. ויראו אותנו המצרים ויענונו, ויתנו עלינו עבודה קשה. ונצעק אל אדוני אלוהי אבותינו, וישמע אדוני את קולנו, וירא את עוניינו, ואת עמלנו ואת לחצנו. ויוציאנו אדוני ממצרים, ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה, ובמורא גדול, ובאותות ובמופתים. ויביאנו אל המקום הזה, וייתן לנו את הארץ הזאת, ארץ זבת חלב ודבש. ועתה הנה הבאתי את ראשית פרי האדמה, אשר נתת לי אדוני. והנחתו לפני אדוני אלוהיך, והשתחווית לפני אדוני אלוהיך. ושמחת בכל הטוב אשר נתן לך אדוני אלוהיך ולביתך, אתה והלוי והגר אשר בקרבך.
When you enter the land that the Lord your God is giving you as a heritage, and you possess it and settle in it, you shall take some of every first fruit of the soil, which you harvest from the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Put it in a basket and go to the place where the Lord your God will choose to establish his name. You shall go to the priest in charge at that time and say to him, I acknowledge this day before the Lord your God that I have entered the land that the Lord swore to our fathers to assign us. The priest shall take the basket from your hand and set it down in front of the altar of the Lord your God. You shall then recite as follows before the Lord your God. My father was a fugitive Aramaean. He went down to Egypt with meager numbers and sojourned there. But there he became a great and very populous nation. The Egyptians dealt harshly with us, and oppressed us. They imposed heavy labor upon us. We cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our plea and saw our plight, our misery, and our oppression. The Lord freed us from Egypt by a mighty hand, by an outstretched arm and awesome power, and by signs and portents. He brought us to this place and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Wherefore I now bring the first fruits of the soil, which you, O Lord, have given me. You shall leave it before the Lord your God, and bow low before the Lord your God, and you shall enjoy, together with the Levite and the stranger in your midst, all the bounty that the Lord your God has bestowed upon you and your household. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayeh olam atah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Shakoach. Thank you, Alan. And we now go straight on to, oh no, first of all, we need to thank God for giving us the Torah at the top of page 483. Baruch Shenatan Torah Lamo Yisrael B'Kedushato. We praise you, Holy One, for giving Torah to your people Israel. And now we go straight to Hannah, who's going to read the Haftarah for us, which is Isaiah chapter 60, 60. And this is the traditional Haftarah for Ki Tavo, and it's the sixth Haftarah of consolation, which, as I'm sure you're aware, are the Haftarot which lead up from Tisha B'Av, lead up to Rosh Hashanah. So it means we're now quite close to Rosh Hashanah. Although these Haftarah of consolation are not necessarily connected to the Torah reading, this one does tie in quite nicely with our theme of joy, and also the blessings which we talked about yesterday, which are in this portion in chapter 28. Hannah, over to you. You're on mute. You're still on mute. Hannah, you're still on mute. Oh, there we are.
Am I muted now?
You're
Okay,
on now.
I thought I did it earlier, but obviously. Anyway, apologies for that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar benviim tovim, v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah, u'v'Moshe avdo, u'v'Yisrael amo, u'v'nviei ha'emet b'tzedek. Arise, shine, for your light has dawned. The presence of the Lord has shone upon you. Behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and thick clouds the peoples. But upon you the Lord will shine, and his presence be seen over you. And nations shall walk by your light, kings by your shining radiance. Raise your eyes and look about. They have all gathered and come to you. Your sons shall be brought from afar, your daughters like babes on shoulders. As you behold, you will glow, your heart will throb and thrill. For the wealth of the sea shall pass on to you, the riches of nations shall flow to you. Dust clouds of camels shall cover you, dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. They all shall come from Sheba. They shall bear gold and frankincense, and shall herald the glories of the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar shall be assembled for you. The rams of Nebaioth shall serve your needs. They shall be welcome offerings on my altar, and I will add glory to my glorious house. Who are these that float like a cloud, like doves to their cotes? Behold, the coastlands await me, with ships of Tarshish in the lead to bring your sons from afar, and their silver and gold as well. For the name of the Lord your God, for the Holy One of Israel, who has glorified you. Aliens shall rebuild your walls, their kings shall wait upon you. For in anger I struck you down, but in favor I take you back. Your gates shall always stay open, day and night they shall never be shut, to let in the wealth of the nations with their kings in procession. For the nation or the kingdom that does not serve you shall perish, such nations shall be destroyed. The majesty of Lebanon shall come to you, cypress and pine and box, to adorn the site of my sanctuary, to glorify the place where my feet rest. Bowing before you shall come the children of those who tormented you. Prostrate at the soles of your feet shall be all those who reviled you. And you shall be called City of the Lord, Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas you have been forsaken, rejected, with none passing through, I will make you a pride everlasting, a joy for age after age. You shall suck the milk of the nations, suckle at royal breasts, and you shall know that I, the Lord, am your Saviour. I, the mighty one of Jacob, am your Redeemer. Instead of copper, I will bring gold. Instead of iron, I will bring silver. Instead of wood, copper. And instead of stone, iron. And I will appoint well-being as your government, prosperity as your officials. The cry, violence shall no more be heard in your land, nor rack and ruin within your borders. And you shall name your walls victory, and your gates renown. No longer shall you need the sun for light by day, nor the shining of the moon for radiance by night. For the Lord shall be your light everlasting. Your God shall be your glory. Your sun shall set no more, your moon no more withdraw. For the Lord shall be a light to you forever, and your days of mourning shall be ended. And your people, all of them righteous, shall possess the land for all time. They are the shoot that I planted, my handiwork in which I glory. The smallest shall become a clan, the least a mighty nation. I, the Lord, will speed it in due time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer b'oseh, ha'medaber u'mekayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'nevi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Thank you, Hannah. Shakoach. And so now we come to our community blessings, and Margie, Maureen and Janet need to unmute themselves so that they can read these blessings for us.
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country, and all who influence the quality of its national life. May they conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members, and all who enter the synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us and heal those in anxiety or pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage, and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will.
Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven to the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbours, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Thank you, ladies. We continue our service now on page 489, with Etz Chaim Hi. Etz Chaim Hi lemachazikim ba v'tomechei maushar derachei darchei noam v'chol netivotei shalom Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh yameinu k'kedem Chadesh yameinu k'kedem So Shabbat Shalom everyone. I'm going to say a few words about the Torah reading. Not very many, don't worry. So this week's reading is about a ceremony, the bringing of first fruits to the temple, a ceremony that we can no longer perform. And as liberal Jews, we're unlikely to want to perform even if it were possible. But maybe we can still learn from it. I talked earlier about the sense of joy that we find in this Torah reading and also in the Haftarah this morning. Rejoicing, celebrating our produce, our achievements, gratitude for God's blessings. We'll come back to that in a moment because first I want to look at this ceremony itself. Because maybe there's something here about inclusivity that we can learn. First of all, everybody has to do this, at least everyone who has Peri Ha'adamah, fruit of the earth. And there is a prescribed text. First of all, the person acknowledges, I have entered the land. So we're used to this in the Passover Haggadah that we say, everyone should feel as though they were a slave in Egypt and that they were brought out of Egypt. So here, the person who brings the first fruit, even though they may be great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren of the people who actually entered the land, they say, I have entered the land. And then they continue with a brief history of the Jewish people. That's the bit that starts, Arami Oved Avi. My father was a wandering Aramean. Reciting the history or identifying oneself with the history is important to the person's Jewish or Israelite identity. This is part of my history and I am part of the team. I am an important part of the team. So what happened if you were a part of the team but you didn't speak or read Hebrew? The Mishnah, which is part of rabbinic literature, sometimes called the oral law, and was written down long after the Torah, about 1,800 years ago. The Mishnah considers this. What happens if the person doesn't know the words in Hebrew? Now, some things, including the Shema, can be said in other languages. There's no requirement to recite the Shema in Hebrew. But they decided this text must be recited in Hebrew. So if you weren't sure of the words, the Levi, the priest, would help you, saying the words for you to repeat after him, a bit like we see in marriage ceremonies. I, Gwendolyn, take you, and that business. But the trouble is that then distinguish the people who knew the words from the people who didn't know the words. So they decided, so people wouldn't feel embarrassed to ask for help, that everyone would be prompted in the same way. And it makes me wonder whether we need to do more in our own Jewish community today to make sure that everyone can participate. Some of the services, of course, in English, which helps many of us, most of us, and we are fairly good at announcing page numbers so that everyone can keep up. But what about the sections in Hebrew? Do they need to go slower? Should we adopt the Mishnah's approach and get the service leader to say the words for people to repeat after them? Perhaps there's a role for transliteration, and maybe more importantly for education. 7 years ago, when I joined the Baalei Tefillah program in liberal Judaism, well, I could read Hebrew, I knew the letters and vowels, but I wasn't able to read confidently or fluently. I'd previously tried to learn Hebrew, joining modern Hebrew programs, and it hadn't helped much. In the end, it was focusing on the text, on the liturgy, that worked for me, and painstakingly working through it phrase by phrase. Oh, but also learning biblical Hebrew helped. The way that we learnt Latin in school as a structured, grammar-based language. So in the end, I would say, it's never too late to learn. Those of us who learn as adults may never be as fluent as those who learnt as children, but every phrase we get to grips with takes us one step closer. Now, it may seem that I've forgotten about the Torah reading, but let's go back to the sense of joy in, I put not as 26:11. And you shall enjoy together with the Levite and the stranger in your midst all the bounty that God has bestowed upon you and your household. Who are the Levite and the stranger? Ger. The Levite, of course, is someone who works in the temple, the service leader or the warden, who takes you through the ceremony. But what about the stranger? It could be the Ger Toshav, the non-Israelite living in the land. Although it's not clear why that person is there at the ceremony, but it seems they are. Some translations go for the idea of Ger Tzedek. Ger Tzedek is the righteous stranger or the convert to Judaism. Obviously, we would rejoice with them, that's good. But since we've been talking about Jewish identity and inclusivity, perhaps the stranger is just the person who rarely comes to services and therefore doesn't know exactly what to do. And we're commanded to rejoice with them, to help them to participate, and to make them part of our celebration of God's bounty. Or you might be tempted to say, don't be a stranger. Shabbat Shalom. Would anyone like to comment on the Torah reading or on my words? I know that Rabbi Rachel is very good at Hebrew education, so I'm sure she will be doing something on that as time goes on. Rosemary, can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I've struggled with biblical Hebrew over the years, and it does take a lot of effort, but so many people say, well, in Hader, I couldn't cope with it, and that's why I can't do it now. They say that as an adult. But I still think that it takes a lot of it does. And I think that most people, if they're prepared to put in the work, can do it.
Thank you. It certainly is difficult, but I think it's worth the effort. Is anybody else?
Just to
Oh,
say,
Maureen.
I really
Yes.
enjoyed your sermon.
Oh, thank you, Lindsay. Maureen wanted to say something. Can you unmute yourself, Maureen? Let me see if I can unmute you. Maureen,
Yes,
now
can
we
you
can.
Right.
Yes.
As well as reading the Hebrew, I think that it is very important to know what you are the translation. It's all very well being able to read Hebrew, but unless you can study what the words mean, you don't get the benefit of it. And I should imagine that the nearest translation is what we have got. And I find much more comfort in reading the translation. It's more meaningful to me than reading the Hebrew. And I just think whichever country you live in, the translation is in that country's parlance, and one can understand the meaning of it. Whereas if you go to France and and they're speaking in French, and you are reading in Hebrew, you're completely lost if you can't speak French and you don't understand the Hebrew. Do you get my point?
Yes. Yes, translations are important. You
Yes.
can also, oh, Adrian, you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say that when you said about why there would be strangers in attending the ceremonies, is that, and I can't quote exactly where it is in Deuteronomy. I mean, we live in a society today post Enlightenment where religious laws are divorced from secular laws, but in the biblical age, they were the same thing. The religious law was also there was no secular law, it's just one law. And there is an instruction in Deuteronomy where Moses is addressing, and normally it would be Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, but actually uses the word Kehillah Yisrael, the whole community of Israel. And so these laws, the laws of totality, included absolutely everybody, even the strangers in the midst. So,
Thank you, Adrian. And we do know that historically, when there was the land of Israel was part of the Roman Empire or the Persian Empire, that the governor or whoever did send sacrifices to the temple, that was sort of part of the expectation. So there was involvement, as you say. There was a crossover between civil and religious authority in ancient times that's more difficult for us to understand today. But it is also nice that everybody was involved, and I hope that we make our services as inclusive as possible. Just on what Maureen was saying, I have a secret weapon, which is I use an interlinear translation. And I don't know if anyone's come across that, but it's where there is an English word for every Hebrew word. So that helps me know exactly what each word means, or what the translator thought that word meant. Now that's obviously another problem. You might want to look at different translations if you're studying a Torah portion, because sometimes there's ambiguity in the text, and you might prefer the JPS translation, or you might prefer the King James version. They might be quite different, so you might want to look at different translations. But yes, you can buy books with interlinear text in, but you can also find it online. If you're interested in that, I can talk to you about it another time. Let's continue with our service now. Let's continue with a prayer for healing. So very much on our mind at the moment are people who are ill with coronavirus all over the world. But there are also people in our community and in our families who are not well, and maybe even some of us here at the service today are not well. So we'll just take a moment to think about people who we know or that we care about who are not well, and we'll turn to page 606, and I'll just read the prayer for healing. May it be your will, Eternal One, our God and God of our ancestors, speedily to grant a perfect healing of body and mind to us and to all who are sick. V'yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, shetishlach lanu mehera refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh u'refuat haguf, b'toch she'ah ha'cholim. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh ha'cholim. We praise you, O God, the source of healing. And we turn now to Aleinu, which we find on page 520, 520 for Aleinu. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule, when all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. And it has been said, the Eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the Eternal God shall be one, and known to be one. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We now turn to the Kaddish, which we find on page 524, 524. In a moment I'm going to read the list of names that we have. If anybody wants to mention either out loud or to themselves additional names, please do so. And also I apologize if I don't pronounce the names correctly. Please feel free to correct me as we go along. Creator of the universe, you give us life in which joys and sorrows are commingled in accordance with your wisdom, and you send death with its promise of eternal peace. Teach us to accept humbly and courageously whatever burden is laid upon us. And this week we're remembering the Yortzites of Zoltan Palos, the father of Robert Palos, Valerie Spielvogel, the wife of Bernard Spielvogel, and Ronald Terry, the nephew of Gideon Fiegel.
I'd like to mention my mother, whose English yard site is this coming Monday.
Thank you, Lindsay. What was her name?
Esme Cash.
Esme Cash. Did anyone else want to mention somebody? Comfort those who mourn, and let the light of faith illumine the darkness of their sorrow with the hope of immortality. Strengthen us at all times with an unfailing trust in your providence. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah. Ba'alma divrah chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon uv'yom echon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach la'alam u'la'almei almayav. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei dekudesha v'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol bnei adam v'imru amen. May the Most High Source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity, and let us say amen. Now, do we have any notices? I know that this evening at 9 o'clock there's the opportunity to celebrate Havdalah together with Rabbi Rachel. That was mentioned last night. Does anybody want to?
Also coming up next Shabbat evening, we have Slichot in the.
Not say Shabbat evening, Saturday night.
Yes, Saturday night. Sorry, we have the Slichot service. It's always a very lovely service and a great introduction to the holy days. So the notices went out from the office about that. So please, if you haven't been before, give it a try. It's very, very meaningful and special.
Adrian, did you mention what time it was at?
I think it's 9 o'clock.
Tonight's 9 o'clock. Next week's 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Stephen.
And there's an email was sent with the Zoom link in it. So hopefully you can access it if you want to attend.
Good.
Tomorrow week.
Could I also just thank Gwendolyn very much for leading the service today, and in particular, as somebody else mentioned, for her sermon, which I think was very inspirational. I think we as actually a progressive movement have done quite a lot to be inclusive, but we can always learn more and improve and think about other innovations which bring more people in. So thank you very much, Gwendolyn.
Oh, you're welcome. Alan and Janet, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Gwendolyn. Yes, I also mention that tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock is a Mosaic joke afternoon with about a dozen people from the three synagogues, one or two, each giving some anecdotes or funny stories. And included in that, I'm afraid, are two of the people who you've seen and heard today. I won't say more. 4 o'clock tomorrow. The link is on the newsletter.
Did you say a joke afternoon?
It's an afternoon.
I forget what it's actually called. Oh,
it's basically. It's basically old Jews telling jokes.
It's a good idea. I can see everybody's smiling already, you see. That's tomorrow at 4, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know which is going to be funnier, either the people or the jokes.
Who cares as long as we can laugh?
Thank you.
Great idea. That sounds really lovely.
That's it.
So let's finish by singing Adon Olam, and then we'll make Kiddush. So Adon Olam is on page 525. Adon Olam Hashem Malach b'terem kol Yitzir nivra Le'et nasa v'chefto kol Azai melech Shemo nikra V'acharei kichlot hakol Levado yimloch nora V'hu haya v'hu hove V'hu yeh b'tif'ara והוא אחד ואין שני להמשיל לו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצוחב לי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ואעירה ואם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא אירא. Into your hand I place my soul, asleep or wake, for you are near. And with my soul, my body too, you are my God, I shall not fear. So let's move now to the Kiddush, which we find on page 566. Does anybody have wine or challah and would like to join in? Aha, excellent. Just rescuing mine from the floor. Not sure that's very respectful. Did I see a challah anywhere? No chalot?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Oh, okay. So we'll have Alan and Janet blessing the challah, okay, when we get to it.
Okay.
So, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת Vayinafash v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, amitzi l'chein min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
That was a lovely service. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's lovely to see everybody.
Yeah, I wanted to say, Gwendolyn, thank you very much for a beautiful service. I love hearing your voice singing with the different tunes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you for your Haftarah. It was lovely.
I'm very fond of Isaiah, and this was a particularly joyful section, which was beautiful to read. Thank you.
Thank you. I prefer him when he's joyful.
Sorry, what did you say, Gwendolyn?
I prefer Isaiah when it's positive. I don't like the angry sections very much.
But he's very positively angry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wish
Stephen, can I just ask you?
Hannah, what did you say?
I just wanted to wish everybody Shabbat Shalom, and it's Roger over and out.
Who's Roger?
Whoever you want it to be.
Who's Roger?
Maybe it's the stranger in the temple.
Yeah. I'm mute.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Lovely service. Lovely service, Gwendolyn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gwendolyn.
Shabbat Shalom.
Did you want to say something, Alan, to me? Or not?
I've got to go and make our builders a cup of tea.
Right. We've had a bit of a trouble, and it keeps on coming up saying our internet connection is unstable. Could you hear us okay, both of us?
It's still a bit unstable. We
Yes.
can hear you, but it's still not perfect. Still not great. It's jerky.
That's what I suspect.
It was fine. It was fine when Alan was doing the Torah reading,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
But later on, it was less clear, and we could hear Janet do the blessing, but it was a bit slow at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've got
No,
a
it's
problem.
fine. You didn't go away altogether.
Well, that's something. That's something.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyway, thank you very
Yes.
much, Gwendolyn. Now you can go and have a Shabbat rest, I hope.
Yes.
Thanks, Gwendolyn.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Stephen, for looking after us.
Try my best.
Thank you.
Bye.
You did
Bye.
very well. Bye, Lena. Bye.
Bye all. Bye, Teresa.